Hi, this is Alex Fernandez with Bud and Doug Walters Auto Sales in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Today I'll be doing a video going over the primary features inside of this 2017 Infiniti QX30. We'll begin by talking about the screen in the dash here and the functions which it controls. We'll work our way down into the center console and some of the buttons we have available here. Our climate control, our shifter, and our controls here, which we can use to interact with the screen in the dash. We'll then work our way over to the steering wheel and some of the stalks that we have there, along with the screen and the gauge cluster. And we have our light controls there on the dash, along with some seat controls and window switches, door locks, mirror adjustments, and things like that. Finally, we'll go up top where we have some dome lights controls, sunroof controls, and our HomeLink garage door opener buttons underneath the rear view mirror there, as you can see. Going back to the screen is a touch screen as well as able to be controlled with this dial and the buttons around it. We can use the back button on the screen or on the physical buttons to interact with that. If we rotate the dial, we're able to scroll through the different functions of the screen. We have navigation, where we're able to plug in a street address. You'll see here we can just fill in this template. If we want to change the state, we can do so. Up at the top there, we can also search by city or an intersection as well. So you can search points of interest, save a home address. Destination menu gives us some different choices for how we can search a destination. Going back to the home page, we can access that by pushing that home button there. We'll move to the next function, which is phone. You'll see we have no phones connected right now. And then it asks us if we'd like to add a new one. To pair your device, simply accept that prompt on the screen, and then within your Bluetooth settings on your compatible phone, find the device or find the vehicle within your Bluetooth settings and select it to begin the pairing process. Once you've done so, your phone calls, your call history, your contacts will transfer into the vehicle, and you'll be able to then answer calls with this button here on the steering wheel, hang up or decline a call with this button here, and then you have your voice command button up top, which you can use to place a command such as calling a particular contact. Going back to the menu, the next section is the apps page, and there are just a couple little handy things in here like a clock or a compass display. Information is going to give us things like our Eco Drive report, so it shows us how well we've driven the vehicle as far as being economical with driving it, starting, cruising, and slowing down. You can reset that just to see what your driving would look like. Traffic information requires a satellite XM, Sirius XM subscription. Map information just shows us the current navigation system. This section here, Infiniti has a subscription-based service called InTouch, and that's something that you as a vehicle owner would subscribe to if you so choose. The next thing we have is settings, and that gives us the ability to change some of the settings for the main functions of the vehicle. You'll see Bluetooth, phone, navigation, audio, screen, volume adjustment, clock, and a few others on that second page. Those are the apps available on that screen there. To access your radio or CD or Bluetooth audio, we do have an audio button down below here. Once we press that, we'll get this menu or this screen displayed. This is currently showing us the radio section. You'll see our sources are up at the top. We can move this dial forward to move up into this top section here where we're able to select the different sources of audio. Move back down, that gives us access to our presets, and you'll see we can scroll through those and mix and match AM, FM, and satellite stations all within on that same list there. To change your stations, we have seek buttons here, as well as tuning buttons here, and then a radio button which would cycle us between AM, FM, and satellite. A media button which would cycle us through a Bluetooth device, an auxiliary device, anything else that were available, like a CD as well. And then we have volume controls right in the middle, and shortcuts for your first 6 presets there. On your steering wheel, we have volume controls up and down, as well as a mute button for the audio. And you'll see we have a status button as well. That shows us a little brief snapshot of the audio, as well as our climate control settings and what the temperature is set to. Looking down below, we have heated seats for the driver and the passenger, our hazard lights in the middle, the auto start-stop system of the vehicle. So when you're driving around, if you come to a stop, the engine will shut itself off while you're at a stop and restart as soon as you take your foot off the brake pedal. You can turn that system off if you'd like to, just by pressing that button. And this button here turns off our parking sensors on the vehicle as well. Down below we have the climate control settings. We have dual zone climate, driver temperature and passenger temperature here. Simply rotate the dial to adjust the temperature. Within the driver's side dial, we have a button for our auto mode, which allows you to set the temperature, and it'll take care of things like fan speed, vent location, air conditioning, and the rest of it for you to get to that temperature that you've asked for. The zone button down below allows us to independently adjust driver and passenger zones without affecting the other. We have our max front defrost button here, which is going to set the fan location to the defroster and turn the fan speed all the way up. We have our rear defroster here. We have our fan speed buttons top and bottom there. Our mode buttons, which cycle through the different vent locations. Our recirculate mode, our air conditioning, and then we have an off switch for the climate control and the driver or in the passenger's temperature dial, and a max cool button, which is simply a shortcut to cool things down as quickly as possible in the vehicle. Looking back at the shifter, it's an electronic shifter, and you'll see here we have reverse, neutral, and drive, and we have park, which is a physical button separate from the rest of the shifter. To put the vehicle into gear, simply put your foot on the brake pedal and pull the shifter back towards the gear that you'd like to select if drive. Bump forward a single time for neutral and bring it all the way forwards for reverse. And to put the vehicle in park, simply press the P. The button next to all of that here changes our drive mode. We have Sport, Eco, and Manual. And you'll see when we change those, you'll see that display in the screen there, indicating which mode we're in. Sport would sharpen up the throttle response and let the RPMs climb a little higher before changing to the next gear. Eco would soften up the throttle response and keep the RPMs lower to prioritize fuel economy. And Manual would give you manual control of changing gears using the paddles behind the wheel. We have the plus sign paddle here to upshift and the minus sign paddle here to downshift. In our controller here we have the home button, which changes the screen to that. We have our audio button. We have our map button, which takes us back to seeing the map display. We have our back button, our dial, which we can also rotate, as well as press OK and move up, down, left, and right. And then we have our camera button here to access the different camera functions of the vehicle. You'll see we have a front camera as well as a 360-degree top-down view, along with a passenger side, curbside camera display. In reverse, you will have a backup camera as well as that 360-degree view as well. Looking at the steering wheel, we've talked about the buttons on the right side of the wheel. On the left side, we have a control pad which controls the information we have displayed in the screen in the gauge cluster here. If we click up and down, that cycles us through different trip information here: digital speed, trip and odometer, how far we can drive with the amount of gas in the vehicle, our distance traveled, average miles per gallon, average speed, and time elapsed since starting the vehicle. From the time that it was last reset, the same information, mileage, miles per gallon, time, and average speed. If we move right or left, we have different tabs in here. We have the navigation section. In this case, with no active route, we see simply a compass display. If we had a route active in the navigation system, we would have our next turn able to be displayed there. Audio allows us to see the current station we're listening to and to cycle through presets on the radio as well. We have our driver assistance settings here with our emergency braking, our lane departure warning, our blind spot alert, stability control, and all those systems are turned on by default. If we had any service required for the vehicle, we can also check tire pressures and maintenance schedule there. And lastly, settings for some of the vehicle functions here, in case there's anything you'd need to change. Looking behind the steering wheel, we have our windshield wipers. Simply rotate the end of the stalk to increase or decrease the speed for the front, and then the rear, click that to that position to turn it on, and we can rotate that down or up all the way to do the spray. Spray for the front, push the end of the stalk there, and then we have blinkers there, along with pulling our high beam stalk towards you to flash, or pushing away to turn on. You'll see that there, that those come on. Looking behind the wheel here, we have our cruise control. Simply pull that stalk towards you, turn the cruise on. Once the cruise has, once you're up to speed, you can click up on that stalk to set or down to set, and then up to accelerate or down to decelerate. And with this vehicle, we also have intelligent cruise control, so the vehicle is able to maintain a set distance with the vehicles in front of it and speed itself up or slow itself down accordingly to maintain the distance with the vehicles in front of you. If you tapped your brakes and had to resume, you do so by pulling the stalk towards you. To turn the cruise off altogether, push the stalk away. Looking to our left, we have our headlight controls. The headlights are automatic. Let's see. We have different positions there for those headlights. Otherwise, you can leave them in auto and they'll come on at night as necessary, and you'll have daytime running lights visible during the day. We also have our front-facing and our rear-facing fog lights there. Looking at the door, we have our door lock and unlock switch, as well as the seat adjustments for the driver's side seat. And we have memory settings for that driver's seating position. Simply push and hold the M and then press the number that you're going to use for your seating position. Down below we have our window switches, our window locks, and our mirror adjustments. You can choose which mirror to adjust and use the control pad to move it, as well as a button for our power folding mirrors. Looking up above, we have 3 programmable garage door buttons underneath the rear view mirror there. We have sunroof controls. Simply push back on that switch to open and push forward to close. And we have switches for our dome lights there. We have a switch that turns on all the dome lights in the whole car. Switch that decides if the door is opening turns the dome lights on or not. And then a button to turn on just the rear dome light there. Those are the primary features of this 2017 Infiniti QX30. If you have any further questions, please refer to us at waltersautos.com or call 269-375-7008. Thank you.